So, it's time to bring you some Battlefield 4 news. You might have been able to tell by the title what I'm going to be talking about, so we may as well dive straight into it. As you may have gathered, in Battlefield 3 and in Battlefield 4 so far, new game modes have been introduced with the release of DLCs. We've seen Second Assault introduce Capture the Flag, and we've seen China Rising introduce Air Superiority. So at the moment, we still have 3 more DLCs to be released for Battlefield 4. We have Naval Strike, Dragon's Teeth and Final Stand. So that leaves the potential for at least 3 new game modes, or 3 returning game modes, to be brought into Battlefield 4. Now, a gentleman on the 7 Sins forums, I'll link that in the description by the way, has managed to uncover most of the game modes that could be included in Battlefield 4 in the future in the game code. Now, the reason these haven't been found any sooner is because the gentleman in question cared to dig deeper than anyone else did, and he also came across something interesting. It seems that at the moment, these game modes only apply to the Xbox and PS3. It doesn't state which Xbox it applies to. However, he does state in there, and I totally agree with him, that those are most likely placeholders, because as we know, DICE are developing this game for 5 different platforms, and if they started sort of differentiating between each different version, that would make development even more harder than it needs to be. So, here we go. The game modes that he's uncovered are Tank Superiority, which is something that we saw back in Battlefield 3 in the Armoured Kill DLC. And it was kind of one of those things that really only favours people that like to use tanks. Exactly the same way that Air Superiority favours people who like to fly around in helicopters or jets. The next game mode uncovered is Gunmaster. Now again, that's returning from Battlefield 3 and in itself is a variant of the gun game that was present in Counter-Strike and Call of Duty games. So it would be nice to see that return. However, I'd like to see some improvements in that. Was noted in Battlefield 3 and eventually they got round to doing something about it. They introduced different weapon paths so that when you go round, when you've killed 2 people, it switches to different weapons. They had like pistols only, snipers only and things like that. I think it should be ultimately changed so that the server host can choose which weapons and in what order they change to once you go through them, because I think it would make it much more interesting, especially for private matches. If you just wanted to have some fun with your mates, it'd be really good to set the weapons yourself. The third game mode to be uncovered is Combat Mission. Now for anyone that's played Medal of Honor Warfighter, you should find that phrase very familiar. It was a game mode that was featured in that game, and the objective was you had an attacking team and a defending team, and the attacking team's job is to destroy 3 randomly placed bomb sites around the map. It's a very team-orientated game mode, to be perfectly honest, and it was something that I felt worked really well in Medal of Honor Warfighter. Of course, the game did die very quickly, so the game mode wasn't played very much, but I totally enjoyed it. I think it worked well with a lower player count, and for somebody like me who likes playing those infantry-style game modes, that would be something that really interests me, and if it did go into Battlefield 4, I could see myself playing it. Next on the list is Squad Rush. Now that's pretty obvious, it's one squad versus another squad in a game of Rush. It's something that was included in many Battlefield games before. I would welcome its return. I don't know how popular it actually is and whether people would actually play it, but again, it's another game mode, another variant on the battlefield. Number 5 that was uncovered is Scavenger. Now this is another game mode that was introduced in Battlefield 3 in the Aftermath DLC, and I for one absolutely loved this game mode. Basically, Scavenger was like Domination is in Battlefield 4, with a flag layout of 3 or 5 flags, and your objective was that you only started with a pistol, that's all you had, and then you had to run around the map and pick up randomly spaced weapons to sort of kill the enemy with. So depending on where they were in the map, you'd get better weapons. So something that was a little bit harder to get to, maybe a little bit more of a risk for you to get through that part of the map, you'd be rewarded by getting a better weapon. I think it was of the opinion that that was by far the best game mode that was introduced in Battlefield 3. A lot of people liked it, and DICE would be silly not to include it in Battlefield 4. Perhaps in Dragon's Teeth I could see that being included. As we know, Dragon's Teeth is going to be set in the urban environment in China, so those close-knit infantry environments is perfect for the Scavenger game mode. Another potential game mode that was mentioned is Sport. Now, I've got absolutely no idea what this one could be. I'm not even going to hesitate a guess on what it could be. In fact, no, I will. Maybe it's tied in with the esports game mode. I'm not sure. Maybe it was a working title for the Diffuse game mode. Not really sure. I guess we'll have to wait and see if there's any information released about it, but it's so non-descriptive, I'm not really sure what it could be. Moving on to the final 2 game modes that were mentioned, we have Fireteam Survivor and Onslaught. Now, for any of you, again, who are familiar with Medal of Honor Warfighter, you'll know that they had a fireteam buddy system in that game, where essentially your squad was simply 2 players. The idea that you worked in close-knit environments, worked together, moved around the map together, and sort of supported each other as you go round. Now, Fireteam Survivor perhaps sounds like something like that, but maybe in Battlefield 4. Or maybe it's a system where it could be you only have 1 life and it's the first fire team that wins, or there may be multiple fire teams on the map and whoever's the last fire team standing is eventually the winner, or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, the fire team system I think worked really well in Medal of Honor Warfighter. Considering the game wasn't brilliant, it was one of the redeeming factors, and the buddy system worked really well. And finally, as I mentioned, Onslaught. Now, for anyone that played Battlefield Bad Company 2, like I did, Onslaught was a brilliant game mode. The idea was that you and your squad teamed up against the enemy AI on the system that you were playing on, and you had a series of flags that you needed to capture in order to move through the map. There were varying levels of the AI that you could choose. I think there were 4 levels of difficulty, I believe, and basically you could choose whichever level you wanted, just jump into a game with 3 other of your mates. And the idea was you just fight your way through to the end. Now, to capture the flags in each section of the map, you had to have destroyed all the vehicles at the base where the flag is and kept the enemies away from the flag section. As soon as an enemy came into the flag burn area, your capture would stop, pretty much like it works in Conquest. So if there's 2 of you on the flag in Conquest and there are 2 enemies, the flag will sit stationary until enemies start to be killed, and progressively you'll capture that flag. The idea of Onslaught coming back to Battlefield 4 would be amazing. Now, it was something that I really missed in Battlefield 3, and I think the game warranted it. There were plenty of situations where you could have applied Onslaught, but it never really sort of came into being. So the fact that it's even been hinted at in Battlefield 4 is something great, and if it does get included, it would be absolutely brilliant, for me at least. So that's all the information we have on potential Battlefield 4 game modes at this current time. Make sure you go and check out the link in the description if you want to go and read the post for yourself. But make sure you leave your comments down below as well. Let me know your opinions on what you think about these game modes. Which ones would you like to see? Or maybe there's a game mode that's not there that you'd like to see in Battlefield 4, but let me know down in the comments. But that's the end of the video, guys. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy it, please do hit like so other people can see this information as well. And as I said, comments are always appreciated. But until next time, my name is Westy, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.